The movie opens with a man named Gulliver, who works as a mailroom worker in a publishing company in New York City and dreams of becoming a writer one day. Gulliver meets the new mailroom worker Dan and explains the whole job to him. Gulliver has a crush on his co-worker Darcy, but is too afraid to tell her. Dan is very smart, so the company removes Gulliver and makes Dan the head of the mailroom. Gulliver gets very sad and goes to Darcy, and to impress her, he lies to her that he is a very good writer and he has traveled to many countries. Then Darcy says to Gulliver that he should write some samples and show them to her tomorrow. Gulliver starts writing the article all day, but he is not able to write a good article. Then he sees an article on Time Out and copies the article and shows it to Darcy. Darcy is surprised to see Gulliver's article and appreciates him a lot and gives him his first job and sends him to Bermuda to write about the Bermuda Triangle. On reaching Bermuda, Gulliver rents a boat and leaves for the Triangle. Gulliver falls asleep on the boat after a lengthy journey. Suddenly, a storm strikes, causing Gulliver's boat to collide with a waterspout, and he falls off the boat. Upon waking up, Gulliver discovers he is bound with ropes on Lilliput Island, encircled by miniature individuals. Gulliver is too big in front of these Lilliputians. That's why the Lilliputians consider Gulliver a giant beast and a threat to them all. So General Edward captures Gulliver and brings him to Princess Mary and King Theodore. King Theodore locks Gulliver in a cave, where Gulliver meets Horatio. Horatio was imprisoned by General Edward for falling in love with Princess Mary. Meanwhile, General Edward reaches there and takes Gulliver and Horatio out of the cave and makes them work. Meanwhile, Blefuscian captain sneaks into Lilliput with his soldiers and sets fire to King Theodore's palace and tries to kidnap Princess Mary. As soon as General Edward learns of the attack, he rushes to the palace to rescue King Theodore and Princess Mary. Gulliver saves Princess Mary from Blefuscian captain and extinguishes the fire in King Theodore's palace with his urine, saving King Theodore's life, and he becomes a hero in everyone's eyes. King Theodore holds a feast for Gulliver in his palace, where he lies that he is the president of Manhattan. King Theodore builds a magnificent house for Gulliver in which he lives. General Edward finds Gulliver's boat and all his belongings and tells Gulliver that in a week your boat will be fixed and then you can go to your country. Gulliver picks up his phone and finds numerous voice messages from Darcy. As he listens to her messages, she expresses her anger towards him for copying and showing her the Time Out article. General Edward provokes King Theodore about Gulliver. Then King Theodore gets angry and gets him arrested, and Gulliver is made general in his place. Enraged, General Edward shuts down Lilliput's defense system, which Blefuscian captain finds out and attacks Lilliput. Horatio rushes to Gulliver and tells him that the Blefuscian navy has attacked us. Gulliver takes off his clothes and goes into the sea to fight them. Gulliver tells King Leopold that there is no use in fighting. You guys go back, but they attack him. Gulliver grabs the ropes of their boats and pulls them away, saving Lilliput. At night, Edward comes to Princess Mary's room in a drunken state. Princess Mary doesn't like him, so she tells him plainly that I don't like you and can't marry you. The next day, Edward goes to King Leopold and promises to support him, and to defeat Gulliver, he sets out to build a giant robot suit. Edward arrives to fight Gulliver with wearing the giant robot suit. Edward beats Gulliver and humiliates him in front of everyone and ties him up and sends him to an island where no one dares to go. King Leopold takes over Lilliput, and Princess Mary and King Theodore are locked inside the cave. The next day, Edward finds Darcy near the sea and locks her in the cave. When Gulliver's eyes open, he finds that he has become tiny and is now a giant girl's doll. Horatio risks his life to cross the sea and tells Gulliver that Edward has captured Darcy and put her in jail and occupied Lilliput. Gulliver jumps from the building wearing a parachute and escapes and goes straight to Lilliput and frees King Theodore, Princess Mary, and Darcy. Edward comes wearing a robot suit and attacks Gulliver and electrocutes him by holding both his hands. Meanwhile, Horatio sneaks into Edward's suit and cuts the suit's electrical cord. Gulliver then beats Edward badly and defeats him and frees Lilliput. Gulliver and Darcy say goodbye to them all and go back to their world on their board. Gulliver's article becomes very famous, and he goes from being a mailroom worker to being an editor, and the movie ends here.